Hi everyone, it's the Pack Gambler looking at my first analysis. There's a lot of pack opening videos out there that you can enjoy, and you can see the video that I did to open these 50 Ballin is a Habit packs listed there in the video description. But there's not a lot of analysis that's going on. So I got some analysis, some of it's useful, some of it's just, okay, good to know. But let's walk through it. Now, as a reminder, I opened 50 Ballin is a Habit packs. It's 300 total cards. Here's the breakdown of the rarity. 90 commons, 142 bronze, 57 silver, 11 gold, and 0 diamond. No diamonds for me, no flashback cards either. The nice thing is though, I think I opened those golds at a little higher rate than a lot of people did with these Ballin is a Habit packs, which I can't complain about. So let's look at the cards that I did open that were gold. The only card that I selected to keep was AJ Pollock. Didn't have him, going for that Matt Kemp center field. And of course, right when I am about to get it, I'm sure I'll open Mike Trout or something, which I wouldn't be complaining about that. But here's the 4 golds that were not kept, that I received one of. Yoenis Cespedes, David Ortiz, Dallas Keuchel, and Chris Davis. And then of course, I already had one copy of each of these, but now I have 3. And so, because I opened 2 of Beltre Nola and Ben Zobrist, those were all sold. So I sold all of these except for AJ Pollock, which as you can see was about 3,000 stubs at the time of selling all of these cards. I have sold 299 of all of these cards, and just the gold ones netted me 44,329 and a half stubs. There's some rounding in there, but I decided to leave it accurate. Now, the average card value, as you can see on the left, really the thing to point out here was the difference between commons and bronze is not that much. 14 stubs on average, so the average common card that I sold for 50 stubs, which is pretty good. You can see obviously most of the gold that I made back was from those gold cards, followed by diamond and then bronze, and then common was a smaller piece of the pie. If you're doing the math, I spent 150,000 stubs. I kept one card and sold and received 76,732 stubs back, which means I got AJ Pollock for 73,000 stubs. What a deal! That's awesome. So now I gotta hope that he miraculously comes back after the All-Star break, that someone heals him, and he goes diamond and ends up being better than Trout in center field, and then this was a great investment. Now, I'm gonna get a little nerdy with some graphs here. The x-axis, every dot is a card that I sold. For example, Yoenis Cespedes is the highest value card and the highest rated card that I opened. They're a little over 9,000 stubs. It's actually gone up in value a little bit, but that's okay. The x-axis is the rating, y-axis is how many stubs it's sold for. But to really understand if there's a correlation between overall value or overall rating and the stubs that it was sold for, we need to zoom into each rarity. Because obviously a gold card that's higher rated is going to sell more than a common. But what about within each set of rarity? So for common ratings, I want to explain this little equation very briefly. If you're now zooming back to your high school days and going, oh my gosh, I'm doing math homework and baseball, I don't like this. Really all this is saying is that there is a very small correlation between overall rating and the stub value of the card within the commons. For every 1 point increase in overall rating, the cards that I sold, the 90 common cards I sold, there is a 1.76 stub value increase. So it's not that great. My number one's highest selling common card was Mike Clevinger, which sold for 240 stubs. And when you look at bronze, the same exact analysis, it's even smaller. So you can tell here that there's A-Rod. A-Rod was the highest selling bronze card that I was able to sell at 210. So my highest common sold for more than my highest bronze, which is interesting. But there's less than a 1 stub increase in value for every increase in overall rating within the bronze. So it doesn't matter if you open a 69 versus a 77. It just does not matter. If A-Rod, or if 77s rather, are excluded, because they're right on that brink of going to silver if they're playing well, that drops even more dramatically to 0.06. So really no correlation, almost a completely flat line. So it doesn't matter, don't get heartburn over 69 between 69 and 77. Now with silver, there is a stronger correlation. The highest stub value silver that I sold was Jose Abreu. Unfortunately, I did get a Salvador Perez. Today it was upgraded, but I already sold it. And I think the Salvador Perez was around here somewhere. So it sold for $500-600. Now it's going for a few thousand, which, that's okay. For the sake of the analysis, I sold it quick rather than hang on to it. But you can see here with the silvers that I opened, there is a strong correlation. As you get closer to gold, that value is going up. So for every 1 point increase in overall rating, there's a 27 stub increase. So it is nicer to get an 81 or an 82 than it is a 78. And that's likely because you're getting to the point where that person is usable in your roster. You're not just using them for collections, they are actually being played in your roster. A little more interesting point is the overall value of bronze by team. So looking at this, the most valuable team that I opened was the Brewers for bronze players, but I only opened one Brewers player. Where the Mariners, and I've seen this a lot on the forums on Reddit, the Mariners, their bronze and even common cards are way overinflated in price. Now, the 3 cards that I got for bronze were Wade Miley, Evan Scribner, and Rob Brantley. Those were the 3 cards that make up that Mariners 135. The Dodgers were right behind them, and I did open 6 bronze Dodgers cards. Try to move a little faster. Don't want to get too boring here, but this is the average value of non-gold. So I'm looking at common, bronze, and silver all together. The Mariners pulled ahead. 385 was the average value that I got with the Mariners. Those were the Mariners cards that I unpacked. So Taijuan Walker, Linus Martin, those were really buoying up that average. What I did was I put the average here. So these were the ones that were well above, this is double the average. White Sox, Twins, Royals, Padres, Rockies, Brewers, and Mariners. Then on the other side, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Indians, those cards were not quite as valuable. Of course, free agent, where you're not really collecting for a pack, those sold for the least amount, on average 31 stubs. Terrible. You never like to see the free agent symbol because they're really not very valuable cards, and for the most part. Now, the average stub value by position, the highest value was, and these are non-gold, because with those 11 gold, it really changes the averages dramatically. So I had to exclude those from the analysis. I opened 13 first basemen, 210 was the average stub value. I opened the most relief pitchers, and they also were the least valued because there's so many of them. 81 was the average stub amount. I only opened 3 closing pitchers. You would imagine that would be the case because there's only 1 or 2 closing pitchers per team within the game, where some teams have 3 or 4 first basemen and other positions. So everyone, that was my brief analysis on 50 Ballin' as a Habit packs. The good part is that I have that data file you saw in one of the slides, you saw a little bit of what I'm keeping track of, the team, the value that I sold it for. I'm going to keep doing that with packs that I open, so that as I get increased number of cards opened, I'll really be able to provide deeper analysis with higher population samples. I'm getting a little bit nerdy, but that's okay. Let me know if you like this, if it needs to be shorter, if you'd like analysis done a little bit differently. I'd love to hear your input, and we'll see you next time. Next video will be some more packs being opened on The Pack Gambler.